Good morning. We've spent what's usually called the summer break decorating the house. Room after room of filling, sanding, sugar soaping, emulsioning, undercoating, glossing, and dealing with all the extras, those things which we didn't foresee, but if which don't get done, the job isn't finished. And then there is the seemingly endless stream of finishing touches, all those things like hanging pictures on the wall and cleaning up the mess. However, if I thought that this was exhausting, that's nothing compared to the challenge we're set in today's verse from the Acts of the Apostles. In the 42nd verse of the 5th chapter, Luke tells us that day after day, in the temple courts and from house to house, the apostles never stopped teaching and proclaiming the good news that Jesus is the Messiah. I don't know how it sounds to you, but to me it sounds exhausting. Maybe even a recipe for burnout or breakdown. I don't think it's a verse that we ought to consider just on its own. We need some perspective for us to understand how we might best follow in the footsteps of those apostles. And like them, we turn for that to Jesus. It is Jesus that reminds us that we were not given the Sabbath, but the Sabbath was given for us. And remember that before the feeding of the 5,000, he and the disciples were so busy that they didn't even have chance to eat. And what does Jesus do? He says, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." And throughout the Gospels, we read that Jesus regularly rested, not only because God designed us to rest, but because he was obedient to the commands of God. So yes, get out there, proclaim the good news and teach others about Jesus, and you can even wear yourself out whilst doing it. But don't forget that you can and should do that as part of a life which is lived as God created it, with a Sabbath. So, even if you managed a long, relaxing summer break, the strains and stresses will soon build up again. And so, at least once a week, make it a priority to stop. Put the to-do list to one side, switch off the work emails, and rest.